¿Qué tal mi gente? ¿Qué tal mi raza? Muy pero muy buenas tardes tengan todos y cada uno de ustedes donde quiera que nos escuchen. Esto es ¿Qué pasa? Aquí en radiolatinotv.com. Yo soy su amigo de siempre, Fernando Zápari, aquí con mi buen amigo Daniel Yeo, Raúl Rodríguez en los controles y Tim Senk allá detrás de la cámara. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a todos y cada uno de ustedes. Saludos. Saludos y más saludos donde quiera que nos escuchen en casita, si está usted trabajando, si es lavaplatos, pues saludos muy en especial a todos y cada uno de ustedes, si es cocinero de igual manera, si es ayudante de cocinero, de la misma manera muchos saludos, si es usted preparador o charlán de los cocineros, igualmente les mandamos bastantes saludos a toda la raza por allá que están trabajando en los ranchos lecheros, en los campos agrícolas, claro que sí, en el trabajo de la agricultura. Saludos donde quiera que se encuentre mi gente, saludos a la gente que está en sus oficinas, en casita, y saludos, bueno, a la gente que anda caminando también por el parque y oyéndonos por medio de eso que le llaman iPhones, ¿correcto? Saludos mi gente, esto es ¿Qué pasa? Aquí en radiolatinotv.com. Como siempre tenemos un programa, bueno, bastante interesante, traemos información, vamos a tener en vivo, al reverendo Kevin Boy. Kevin Boy está jugando para el Congreso, ¿verdad? Para una posición en el Congreso de los Estados Unidos, el distrito número 3. Estaremos hablando sobre eso. Estará más bien yendo en contra de Marlin Statsman, es el actual congresista del distrito 3. El distrito 3 es aquí de nosotros, ¿verdad? Del condado de Allen, District 3, Third District is Allen County. Do you know all the counties? Welcome, by the way, Mr. Joe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, bienvenido to you too, Fernando.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Third District compounds or includes Allen County, Noble County, Isikasiasco County. I don't have all of those. But regardless, Kevin Boy is trying to become our new congressperson. He's representing the Democratic Party, but it doesn't matter. Like Mr. Boy say, what we need strong leadership before we. Okay.
There's your counties, Fernando.
Okay.
You asked for it, you got it.
Will you please read it to us, to all of our listeners? Estos son los condados que incluye.
We have it somewhere, listeners, as you know, and thank you for listening on RadioLatinoTV.com on ¿Qué pasa? It's Northeast Indiana. That's it. Adams, Allen, DeKalb, Huntington, Jay, LaGrange, Noble, Steuben, Wells, and Whitley, and parts of Blackford and Kosciuszko counties. So we're talking about cities, Elkhart. We're talking about many. Fernando.
Heavily.
This is where the
Hispanic,
newspaper goes.
Latino influx of Hispanics in all of those cities. Huh? Elkhart, Goshen.
Yes.
Ligonier, Warsaw,
right.
Indiana, LaGrange, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yes. Angola, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, we'll have Mr. Kevin Boy.
Angola.
Our good friend Kevin Boy, Reverend Kevin Boy, live in our program here within 10 minutes. Daniel, tell us what's new today. Las noticias del día de hoy, lo más revelante.
What's new today, Fernando, is almost anything. We can talk about the presidential election. We can talk about the situation in Florida with Trayvon Martin, President Obama. You name it, we can talk about it.
We can even talk about...
See, there is no primary today, Fernando. We're waiting now, on the presidential election.
Okay.
Wisconsin
I call it the
primary.
circus.
Yes, so there is no primary today.
Yes, no circus today.
No circus today.
Okay. Well, there is some great news here in the city of Fort Wayne, and like always, we don't just... It's about the Light of Christ Award. It's interesting, but Michael Floyd, a gentleman we had here in ¿Qué Pasa on RadioLatinoTV.com last month, or last 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And also the Reverend Leo Page and Silvio Page, who works with the Hispanic families here in Fort Wayne through Hispanic Development, and which is an English as a second language program, who advocates for immigrants learning how to live and how to adapt to the daily lives here in the U.S. in Fort Wayne. We also have another nominee, was Elizabeth King. She's a school counselor at St. Elizabeth Seton Catholic School. And we have a professional dentist, Dr. Michael Sturm. He's the founder of Pathways, a local program helping homeless and runaway teens. What a great group of people.
Fernando, this is like the Academy Awards. They're all winners. They're all winners.
Leon,
only one can be selected, but they're all winners.
And I forgot a retired local high school administrator, Leon Young Peter. Yeah.
Leon Young Peter.
Yeah. All winners, like you say. We don't have no losers. They all doing so much for the community. We thank them so much. And best wishes for all of them. And I know personally, on a personal basis, Reverend Leo Page and his wife.
Not only that, Fernando, they're continuing to go. We're talking the Energizer Bunnies here.
Oh.
Michael Floyd with Windsong continues on. Reverend Pesh and his wife continue on. English is second language. They're all continuing to go. And guess what, Fernando? We have a phone call.
We have our guest. We're so... Oops, parece que se colgó. Parece que se colgó. Sounds like aquí viene otra vez la llamada. Claro que sí, como les decíamos, mi gente, tenemos, vamos a tener en la línea, en vivo y en directo, al reverendo Kevin Boyd. Él está jugando para el Congreso, ¿verdad? Para, bueno, tener la nominación por parte del Partido Demócrata para el Congreso del tercer distrito de aquí del noreste de Indiana. Lo conocemos de hace mucho. And it's such a great honor to introduce to you our very good friend, Reverend Kevin Boyd. Welcome. Bienvenido.
Hello. Hi, Fernando. How are you?
Very good, my friend. It's such a great honor to have you here in our program. And wish you best wishes for you. Okay?
Thanks very much.
Yeah. Tell us why the decision to run for Congress, 3rd District.
Well, I think our government has become dysfunctional. It's more concerned about the rich than the people. It's more concerned about giving tax incentives to very wealthy people, and most people are losing money. They're not keeping up with inflation, and working poverty and income inequality keeps growing, and we need to change that.
Fernando just asked you that question, Kevin. This is Daniel Yale, and welcome to the program on Que Pasa.
Hi, Dan.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is a great honor and privilege, really, to have you here. But Kevin, I'm going to ask you the same question, but also remind you of something that you have already said. I am running for Congress because of my granddaughter.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you explain this? And it's a good answer.
Well, it's because every generation of Americans, and I think all people, want to leave the world better for their children and grandchildren. And if we keep on the same path that we're on, we're not going to be able to do that. I have a 1-year-old granddaughter, and I want to do everything I can to make sure we leave a better country for her.
And we've heard this also from other people that are aspiring to be political leaders, and you already are a civic leader and also a congregational leader of your church. But maybe, Kevin, before we proceed, we should talk a little bit more about you so that our listeners know more about you. Okay. You are the pastor at Trinity Church, Presbyterian congregation in northern Fort Wayne.
And I've been the pastor at Trinity for 23 years.
23 years. Now, you moved here from somewhere else in Indiana, did you not?
Yes. We were 7 years in Blackford County,
Okay.
which is just south of here and north of Muncie.
And the position you're running for, I didn't want to bring this up yet, but I guess I will. You are running against Marlon Stutzman, who took over.
We have to win the primary.
Well,
And the primary is coming up May 8th, and we need people to vote for Boyd in the primary.
That's right.
On the Democratic ticket, so that we can run against Marlon Stutzman in the fall.
That's exactly right, Kevin. We were going to remind people not only about the May 8th date for the primary, but also what we do on this show is we encourage people to vote, and if people are not registered, we help encourage people to register for vote. Now, Kevin, let's talk about.
To register is coming up on April 4th, so it's important people register this week.
This is the week. Can you explain more about that, Kevin? Please, about that.
Well, in the United States, it doesn't cost anything to vote, but to vote, you have to register and be on the voting rolls. And the way you do that is to register with the state of Indiana. And if you go to our website, which is BOYDFORCONGRESS, the number 3.com, BoydForCongress3.com, we have a link to the Indiana voter registration site.
Great idea. Not only that, people can go to motor vehicles to register to vote or to go to their local election registration office to do it by county. And it's something that there are so many people out there who need to register to vote, because, Kevin, you're right, it's up to the voters. And it's up to the voters to decide. We hire them, we fire them. Now, Kevin,
That's right.
Back to the primary.
Now, voting is a great privilege, but it only works if everybody who's eligible actually gets out and votes. Otherwise, we just leave a few people decide the future of the United States, and we all have a voice in that.
And we're hearing that from many people throughout America on public news shows and so on about all that. So we continue to do our part. Kevin, can we go back to the primary again? You said the first thing is that you need to first win the Democratic primary. There are 6 candidates. Kevin?
Yes.
Am I right about this? Do you have 5 other people you're running against here? 6 candidates?
Yes, there are 6 people total in the Democratic primary, and so it's a crowded field.
Crowded field. And it's a good thing when we hear about encouraging people to run for office, including women and minorities and all people of all cultures. That's a good thing, but it makes it a little bit harder for you, doesn't it?
Well, it's important that we get the name recognition out. It's kind of unusual, but with a crowded field, the 3rd District Democratic Party decided to endorse a candidate, and I've been endorsed by the 3rd District Party. I've also been endorsed by Mayor Dick Hickman of Angola, Mayor Tom Henry of Fort Wayne, Mayor John Schultz of Decatur, and Mayor Randy Giesemann of Portland.
I see this, I'm looking at it right now, Kevin, where you did receive the endorsement. Now, can you explain to the listeners the 3rd Congressional District Democratic Party? Does that coincide with the you would represent, the district you would represent?
Yes. It
Okay.
is made up of the county
The same
Democratic
counties.
from all 12 counties in the 3rd District.
All right, we're talking to all 12 counties. Well, that's an endorsement, and then we'll move on after that to talk about the November election, where it comes down to the final vote. Fernando, I think, has a question here. He's okay. Here we go.
Well, again, congratulations, and wish you the very best, Reverend Kevin. And
Thank you.
if you, and I'm sure you will be elected, okay, in the primary. You had very strong endorsements there. But if you are elected, what are you going to do, or what are you planning to do different than our very great friend, Dr. Tom Hayhurst, to win?
Well, one of the things I want to do is make sure that a high-quality public education is available to all people. We are moving right now to privatize education, and if we don't change the direction, we're going to get to a point where only the wealthy can afford to be educated. That's not right. So the first thing I'd like to work on is education policy that returns education decisions back to local educators and stops testing kids like they're a bunch of widgets. The second thing is we have to restore the economy, especially looking at the people who are on the margins of the economy. So I'm in favor of both tax cuts for small businesses and raising the minimum wage. Both of those things together will help our local economy grow. And then we also have to look at energy alternatives so that we don't have to be importing oil and paying $4 gas.
Where did you see the biggest window of opportunity to defeat our current Congressman, Marlene Stutzman? What your campaign? What are you gonna do? We're talking about here something, Reverend Boy. If I'm not mistaken, Republicans had been in power in the 3rd District for the past 12, 14, 15 years.
We have Mark Souder, of course.
Mark Souder, yes.
Congressman Mark Souder, who retired.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't really. He was forced to retire. He didn't really retire. No, he created that retirement. I mean, he was pushed out of it, and I'm so glad he was out. Okay.
Are you talking about Mark Souder?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah, and Marlon Stutzman was elected in a special election.
Right.
But the district has been reformed because of redistricting, and so he's never really run in the 3rd District.
That's very, very, very true.
That's right.
So again, we're talking with our very good friend, Reverend Kevin Boy. He's running for the for Congress, 3rd District, Northeast Indiana. Reverend Kevin Boy has served as a pastor at Trinity Church for the past 23 years. Daniel?
Kevin, on your website, the issues that you just discussed, there's more detail on your website about that, which would be boydforcongress3.com.
Right.
And we will be mentioning that again. But there are some other issues that we'd like to bring up, if you're willing to do it, because we need an alternative to the status quo. Let me tell you something. Last night on MSNBC, Congressman Paul Ryan, who submitted his budget proposal last week to Congress, and it's now in committee, had a press conference where he was being drilled about his Medicare ideas and his Medicaid ideas and his Social Security ideas and many others. The person standing right behind him was Congressman Marlon Stutzman, which means body language-wise he must be in total support of that budget, which most Americans oppose. Even the new Gallup poll that came out today, people do not like Paul Ryan's budget. They consider it a reverse Robin Hood, taking from the poor to give to the rich. But there's Congressman Marlon Stutzman. We need an alternative, and and we hope it's you. So on issues such as the budget, you already addressed energy education, and there are some other issues. And do you want to comment before I ask the question? Because I've already said a lot here.
Well, Paul Ryan's budget
Yeah.
is going to lead, if that's adopted, it will lead to the greatest inequality of wealth in the United States history.
That's what they were saying.
It will destroy Medicaid. It will destroy Medicare. It will transfer more and more wealth to the rich. And it really doesn't do anything for the deficit because it doesn't even predict that it will have an effect on the deficit until 2040.
Right.
We need to address the deficit, but we need to do it in the only way anyone balances their budget. You have to control spending and you have to increase income. We need the wealthy people to pay their fair share. And the first thing we need to do is let the Bush tax cuts expire.
And your future competitor, the way things are being projected as we speak, is supporting that Paul Ryan budget, along with Governor Romney, Mitt Romney, presidential candidate.
Yes.
And what you just said was the best thing I've heard about that budget proposal. That is really good. Kevin, other issues. Immigration. We mean humane immigration. What makes sense? We have 11 million undocumented people in the United States. 2.1 million are youth who are brought here, literally brought here as babies, as children, by their parents in search of the American dream, which we have done for centuries in America from all nations. And we are talking still, all nations. Kevin, on immigration, there is a proposal out there introduced by Senator Lugar of Indiana and Democrat Richard Durbin from Illinois, called the DREAM Act, which would provide a path to citizenship for the dreamers, for the 2.1 million dreamers, provided they learn English, education, high school diploma, proceed to college, join the military. There are paths. In other words, it's not like a free slate. There are paths to citizenship. Your competitor, Marlin Stutzman, opposes it, as does Governor Mitt Romney, presidential candidate, who said he would veto it. Governor Mitt Romney is seeing a lot of outcry from the Latino community throughout the country, with rallies against him because of that position, yet he is sticking with it. And Marlin Stutzman is going right along with it. What's your position on the DREAM Act?
I'm in favor of the DREAM Act. I think it's only reasonable that young children who were brought to this country, who have made a good effort to be good citizens, who have given to the country, especially in the military or going to college to better themselves with that way, should have a path to citizenship. It's not an amnesty program, but it is a path that opens up the dream that everybody has, which is a better life for their children. And I support the DREAM Act.
And you are right, Kevin. It is not an amnesty program. In fact, some advocate groups say it's watered down already. But there are conditions, and those conditions are good ones. And we're talking about good people. I mean, not people who are committing felonies or, whatever. There's a whole other, that's something different entirely. We're talking about the American dream, and we're talking about children and youth. And there's a lot of activity throughout the nation right now from advocate groups in support of this. And the Republicans, including Marlin Stutzman, are out of sync with what even the Republican Party itself favors. The majority of the Republican Party favors some paths to citizenship, especially for the youth. And yet the candidates don't seem to get this point. I'm not talking Barack Obama. He said, send me the DREAM Act and I'll sign it. I'm talking about the Republican candidates.
Well, it's time to change Congress so that we can send it forward.
And Fernando has a question.
Actually, I don't have a question, but we're going to go to some commercials and we'll be right back with you, Mr. Reverend Kevin Boy. Once again, it's an honor to have you in our show. El reverendo Kevin Boy está jugando, bueno, para ser nominado de parte del Partido Demócrata para el Congreso de los Estados Unidos. El reverendo Kevin Boy ha sido pastor de la iglesia Trinity por más de 23 años. Lo conocemos, un buen amigo de nosotros. He's a great friend of the Hispanic Latino community also. Y les recordamos a todos y cada uno de nuestros oyentes que este programa es gracias al patrocinio de las oficinas del abogado John Rogers. Las oficinas del abogado John Rogers están ubicadas en el 444 de la calle East Main Street, aquí en Fort Wayne, Indiana. Si usted necesita una consulta totalmente gratis, lo único que tiene que hacer es marcar el 260-704-0682. Una vez más, el teléfono a marcar es 260-704-0682. Volvemos en unos minutitos. This is ¿Qué pasa? Con sus amigos Fernando Zapari y Daniel Gio. We'll be right back, Mr. Boy. ¿Qué tal mi gente? ¿Qué tal mi raza? Una vez más, aquí estamos con todos y cada uno de ustedes. Yo soy Fernando Zapari con mi buen amigo Daniel Gio. En esto que es ¿Qué pasa? Recordamos a todos nuestros oyentes que este programa es patrocinado gentilmente por las oficinas del abogado John Rogers. Las oficinas del abogado John Rogers están ubicadas en el 444 de la calle Main Street y el teléfono a llamar si usted necesita una consulta totalmente gratis es 260-704-0682. Una vez más, el teléfono a marcar aquí en Fort Wayne es 260-704-0682. We are talking live with our very good friend, Reverend Kevin Boy. He's running for Congress, 3rd District, Northeast Indiana. And it's just such a great honor to have him in our show. Talking with Reverend Kevin Boy, some of the issues, why is he running for Congress, we ask him. Main thing is the concern about the rich, getting richer, the wealthy, when most people, regular folks, like Mr. Joe, ourselves, Raul, Tim, here, we're losing money. Inflation is up. What can we do? We need to get involved. We need to go out there and vote. We need to go out there and support not the Republican candidate, not the Democratic candidate, not the independent candidate. We need to support the best candidate, regardless of their party affiliation. Again, Reverend Kevin Boy, your biggest issues here seems to be the economy, the energy. No one likes paying high prices at the pump. Education, and so many other. Immigration is another big topic for us. Again, welcome. Tell us a little bit. I know you have to go closing statements. What do we need to do? How can we get involved? Where can we help? How can we help? Where can we go to get more information about Reverend Kevin Boy for Congress?
Yeah, I do have to go because I work and have to go back to work.
Oh.
But you can go to voidforcongress3.com and you can volunteer. You can find out more about our campaign. You can make a donation. My opponent is getting a lot of his donations from big corporations. We want to get our donations from people. $5 buys a sign. $10 helps with the mailing, $25 can help us win. So volunteer at the website, give at the website, come out to rallies, they're all listed on the website. Check out voidforcongress3.com and help us win this fall.
Voidforcongress3.com. Claro que sí.
That's right.
Once again, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we'll be back with you, and you will be back with us here on this ¿Qué pasa? Radio program on RadioLatinoTV.com.
Thanks, Fernando. Thanks, Dan.
Muchas gracias. Blessings. Claro que sí, bueno, estuvimos aquí en vivo, en directo, con el reverendo Kevin Boy. Él está jugando para representar el Distrito 3 como congresista en DC. Así es que, bueno, muy importante. Ustedes escucharon que él apoya el Dream Act, él apoya una reforma migratoria pero nosotros tenemos que envolvernos en esto. Nosotros tenemos que involucrarnos. Nosotros tenemos que participar. Si no, no pasa nada. Right, Daniel? Did you understand what I just said?
No.
No, I was just saying, I was
Parts.
sharing with our listeners how important it is to participate, to get involved, okay? To support people like Reverend Kevin Boy, which, by the way, he's a very good friend, not just of the Latino, Hispanic community, but everybody. He's a great man, and we need to get involved. We need to support him, give him our support.
Fernando, Reverend Kevin Boyd, I don't know when you first met him, but I first met him at Foster Park Pavilion, fundraiser for Jorge
That's
Gonzalez.
right. Oh, okay.
And he showed up as a volunteer helper supporter. He could have spent his Saturday or Sunday somewhere else.
That's right.
He showed up with his wife and came, and he was in church that day. And then guess what, Fernando? You and I both met him again at his church, at Trinity Church. Remember this?
That's right.
He did a special collection for Jorge for his kidney transplant, which, by the way, was successful, and Jorge is doing well today.
Yeah, Jorge is perfect.
But we were up there at his church.
And this is the type
We
of
were.
people. Yes.
He is a good person.
This is the
A
type of
humanitarian.
people. That's right. That we need in politics. Okay, we don't
We were
need
at his
these
church.
superficial people. We don't need these fake people out there. I think we're losing it in politics. I'm sorry. to say
But I
that
was
out
just
there.
looking this up when he said he had to go to his other job. He wasn't making that up. Fernando, he holds a second job, not only being pastor at Trinity Church, First Presbyterian, Trinity Church in Fort Wayne. He also has a second job as an assistant manager for an insurance company.
That's right. That's why we need
no
someone.
wonder he's so busy, and yet he's running for office. Now,
Yeah,
how many
that's right.
hats can you wear?
That's-
Plus, a grandparent, a father, a spouse. He's wearing about 10 hats.
Well, that's why we need someone
Wow.
to understand firsthand how difficult the lives of Americans are today. Something he quoted, okay, the career politicians in Washington do not. I mean, they don't understand because it's just career politicians. He shares the determination and hard work of many struggling families in Northeast Indiana. I think he's the perfect candidate. Okay, with a lot of due respect to Marlene Statson, it's gonna be interesting. And if we're gonna get Marlene Statson in our show too.
And we are.
Yes,
and
we are.
Fernando, we are. We
will.
do equal time here with if they're willing to come, and we extend the invitation, and that's what we do.
Yes, and that's
Of course,
exactly,
yes.
That's exactly what we do.
But I also want to mention another thing. It's so important today for elected political leaders throughout the nation that they have character, that we can respect them and trust them. And Tom Henry endorsed Reverend Kevin Boyd and said he has the true strength of character. And what you just said, another person who endorsed him said, it's time to listen to the citizens and the people, and that's why people are getting behind him.
That's
So,
exactly right.
good luck, Kevin Boyd, and we will be back on more of this as we go, and we will also be talking to Marlon Stutzman, an interview down the road, if that works out.
You know, Mash, we're going to change the tone, we're going to change the subject here, Mr. Gel. Vamos a cambiar un poquito el tono, vamos a cambiar un poquito el tópico de lo que estamos hablando. Vamos a volver al tema que interesa a cientos de miles y hasta millones de personas aquí en los Estados Unidos, hispanas, latinas, ¿verdad? El tópico es el tópico de inmigración. Tell us about, Daniel, I know you provided me with a paper here, with a document, with a report, with a press release from America's Voice Education Fund, okay? Where it says Spanish language outlets question the implementation of the new Obama deportation policy. The new Obama deportation policy.
Okay, Fernando, this was first brought to our attention by newpartners.com.
Okay.
We have an update from America's
Okay.
Voice.
Okay.
But this was first brought to our attention
Okay.
from our friend in Washington, Katie Green,
Mhm.
who keeps us both up to date on immigration issues. And it has to do with Jamie Martinez, father of 4, in Appleton, Wisconsin, who was picked up leaving work, a job he has had for 9 years. When I say family of 4 children under the ages of 8, all legal citizens with a loving wife. And he was held, when we first were informed about this, on an immigration hold, leaving work, just picked up by ICE. Not even for a traffic violation, just simply picked up. There were prayer vigils, there were rallies in Wisconsin to support Jamie Martinez. And now, Fernando, you're right, from America's Voice, we have now been informed that he has been deported. His wife and family do not understand this. Listen to this. They are suffering terribly. They cannot, and getting physically sick too, from the stress of the separation from their father. The mother cannot explain it to the children. They're so young, how this could happen. They've been married for 14 years. They have a family of 4. And why in the world, in today's world, in this country, can we have this kind of family disruption? And we cannot blame Mitt Romney for this. He is not helping.
Nope.
But this was the Obama administration. This is the ICE program. This is Department of Homeland Security ICE program. This is called prosecutorial discretion. Each case is supposed to be reviewed case by case. The focus is supposed to be people who are problem people. This man was not a problem person.
Well, and this happened in Wisconsin, Daniel. Let me tell you
Yes, it
something
did.
that happened 2 weeks ago here. One of my dear friends, the same thing happened to him. He left 3 kids behind, 1 girl, 2 boys. Okay, very, 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 very same thing happened, different place. This was in Fort Wayne, and it happens all the time here in Fort Wayne too. So it's happening all over the country. Some of these cases gain national attention because national organizations like Americans Voice get involved. Okay, but it's happening all over the country. Easiest thing to do, like I say, is do not get involved. But it's something that we see all the time. I get to see it all the time, yes. So it's not new for us, it's nothing new. Like I say, it happens in Fort Wayne, it happens in Elkhart, it happens in Goshen, it happens in Logansport, Indiana, every day. Numbers, like we discussed yesterday, there was a great article, if you want to call it great, on the Journal Gazette about this issue, on Sunday's paper, front page. But the numbers don't really reflect what the problem is all about. Yeah. I don't know where they get these numbers.
They don't.
So, yeah, this problem is
The program. This is it's called prosecutorial discretion. It started with the Bush administration. It started with the former president, George W. Bush. But when Obama became president, within 2 months, it started in March, so he started in January, within 2 months. He expanded it, and it's not nationwide. We talked about this yesterday on Pasa, on RadioLatinoTV.com. It is not nationwide. It's pretty much county by county. Some counties have it, some counties don't. But the point of the program is to zero in on people on a case-by-case basis. If there's any problem at all about the immigration status, no matter where it's surfaced, it can be somebody is asking a question, it could be somebody being pulled over for a traffic violation. It's on a case-by-case basis, and the focus is to target problem people. Why are we seeing people's families being disrupted? For people who are not problem people. Who, in this case, here's a man who's been working for 9 years in a factory job for 9 straight years, paying taxes, supporting the family. Isn't this the American dream?
I'm telling you, this this gentleman, I don't want to mention his name here in the show, very good friend of mine, was deported. He exemplary. I mean, he was the greatest guy in the world. Great father, always helping people, always helping others. Never got in trouble. Always went to work every morning, came back. But that we see that so much, and more and more.
You know,
and it's kind of I don't know. Now every 4 years, this is the hottest topic for these political leaders, okay, or political guys running for president or whatever. But then they promise you and promise you and promise you this and that. It's just they never go to work on those promises. Hopefully, and I just don't see anyone really threatening the presidency of Obama. Do you?
Here's how, Fernando. Here's how.
I don't see how can any of those guys running for presidential office and the Republican Party can really dethrone Obama. I just don't see it happening. He needs to deliver, though.
Obama is trying to appease and please and so on, but his program, the other one is called Community Security Program. We talked about this on Que Pasa yesterday. Is another one that is not working out right. But Fernando, here's how it could happen. Let's pretend you and I were Mitt Romney for 1 minute. And we could do what's called the Etch-a-Sketch. Did you hear about the Etch-a-Sketch where it kind of like starts over? Wipe the slate clean. Let's just start over right now. Okay, the election isn't until November.
That's right.
If I were Mitt Romney, here's what I would do. I would reverse my position on the DREAM Act and say I would support it. He's going to pick up 5% to 8% at least of the Latino voters, of the 10%, from doing that alone. And I would also modify and change some of my positions that are driving away women, dealing with birth control related, insurance related issues, including his position on Planned Parenthood. I would start to back off of that, to bring the women voters back to support him, and bring the Latino Hispanic voters back by supporting the DREAM Act and say, yes, I am now in favor of path to citizenship under certain conditions. Number one, learn English.
And that is coming, all of what you just said.
No, really.
That's the way politics and politicians
but if
work.
I were Mitt Romney, he could beat Obama if he did that.
Well, he's going to do it after the primaries. Watch. Okay,
Oh,
he's
really?
Gonna restructure his
He
way.
could beat him.
Oh,
I don't want. I'm not saying I'm.
You remember me.
I'm okay. We're going to have this discussion again.
He's going to be very friendly to the ladies, to the to all of these other issues. Latinos, yes. He's going to try to reach out to him. And, he's just trying to win the primaries, and he's focused in the primary right now. But I'm so glad that his opponents still putting up a fight for him, because the Republican Party really don't have a strong candidate, and we're so close to the primaries. I mean, so what can we say?
Wisconsin primary, I believe, is next, and that'll be interesting because Wisconsin is more Democratic than Republican. It'll probably be low voter turnout. We'll see who goes there. But Fernando, I want to have this discussion again with you because we'll see what happens, and I really do hope that all the Republican candidates change their positions.
Oh, they will.
On some of the
that's the way politics.
And I really also hope that Obama is no saint, that he also tells Homeland Security to start to enforce his own policies correctly.
The closer we get
correctly, humanely, civilly.
Yes, they will. Estamos aquí en esto que es Que Pasa, aquí en RadioLatinoTV.com. Estamos con nuestro buen amigo Daniel Yale. Tuvimos al reverendo Kevin Boy. Aquí él está corriendo para el congresista, para el Congreso del Distrito número 3, para representarnos en Washington, D.C. El reverendo Kevin Boy, bueno, es gran amigo de la raza, de la gente latina, ¿verdad? Él también está a favor de una reforma migratoria. Él también apoya el DREAM Act pero también nosotros tenemos que involucrarnos. Él representa al Partido Demócrata, él estará corriendo en contra de Marlin Statsman, que es ahorita el actual congresista del Distrito 3, de parte del Partido Republicano. Como les decía, Kevin Boy, gran amigo, pero necesita también el apoyo de ustedes, ¿verdad? No voten por votar demócrata o republicano, independiente, voten por la mejor persona para representarnos. Y yo, sinceramente, les digo que Kevin Boy es la persona indicada para representarnos en el Distrito 3. Trataremos de traer aquí con nosotros en vivo a Marlin Statsman. We will try to bring in live on our studios, Marlin Statsman, okay, and his position on these issues that we talk about, immigration reform, the DREAM Act, education, economics, energy, etc. Una vez más, esto es ¿Qué pasa? Y les recordamos que este programa es gentilmente patrocinado por las oficinas del abogado John Rogers. El abogado John Rogers está ubicado en el 444 de la calle Main Street, aquí en Fort Wayne, Indiana. Si usted, un amigo, un familiar, necesita una consulta totalmente gratis, lo que tiene que hacer es marcar el número 260-704-0682. 260-704-0682. Una vez más, esto es ¿Qué pasa? Aquí en RadioLatinoTV.com. We're going to go back to where we began at the start of our show. Talk about the Light of Christ Award, Mr. Joe.
Well,
it's
such. Go ahead, Fernando.
Yeah, it's such. The name
is something.
Is a retired local high school administrator, Leon Young Peter, was nominated. Very good friend, Michael Floyd, was also nominated. Okay, Michael Floyd is a teacher at Southside High School who provides unique volunteer students learning opportunities through Winsome Pictures, which is a local nonprofit filmmaking organization. Michael Floyd was in our show. Michael Floyd just had his International Film Festival a couple weeks ago at IPFW. Tremendous. Incredible what he does for the community. Now we're going to talk about the Reverend Leonel and Sibel Pech. They work with the Hispanic community, Hispanic families in Fort Wayne through Hispanic Development, which is an English as a second language program who advocates for immigrants learning how to adapt, how to live in Fort Wayne or in the USA. They do such a great job, hacen muy buen trabajo. And then it's also Elizabeth King, a school counselor at St. Elizabeth Seton Catholic School. And last, but not the last one, is dentist Dr. Michael Stern. He's the founder of Pathways, a local program helping homeless and runaway teens. What a great group of people there.
Fernando, I'd like to start with at the top.
Okay.
It's called the Father Tom O'Connor
Please.
Light of Christ Award. He set the example for all of these people and for many more. Father Tom O'Connor was pastor at St. Mary's Catholic Church downtown Fort Wayne for 34 years. During that time, the church burned down. He would literally have church services off his back porch in the alley. He continued Mass.
Yeah.
They built a new church. During that time, one day, he looked at the community. Many of them needed health care, and he said, we need to get these people medical care. He founded Matthew 25, with help of others, but without Father Tom, never would happen. He was the main leader, Matthew 25, offering health and dental services to people without insurance, people low income, multicultural, every nationality accepted. You go in there, it's a melting pot. It's almost like being in downtown Chicago in the Loop, and you've been there, Fernando. It's unreal how many different cultures, nationalities, ethnic groups are at Matthew 25. That's all because of Father Tom. So this is called the Father Tom O'Connor Light of Christ Award, appropriately so. And so any of the people nominated, to me, they already won.
Oh, they already won. Isn't it such a great honor?
They already won because you got nominated.
You know, Father O'Connor,
Mm-hmm.
he was an angel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still an angel. He's still overseeing, he's still watching over Matthew 25, you're right. And St. Mary's. It's St.
And the
Mary's.
soup kitchen. I forgot to mention the soup.
Well, he
I forgot to
started
mention the
that
soup
many
kitchen.
years ago.
Uh-huh.
So important for him. And that's still going pretty strong.
It is.
Yes.
Every day of the week.
A great honor. Like you say,
Mhm.
everyone that received this nomination is already a winner because of who Father O'Connor was, and you know the values he demonstrated while here.
Fernando,
In this world.
if you were one of the voters, how would you decide?
Oh,
They all should. You can only vote for one.
great people, great names.
Really?
Yes. Uh-huh.
What a struggle that would
Yes, John Keeper,
be. Mm-hmm.
Michael Floyd, Lionel and Sybil Page, Elizabeth
And-
King, and the dentist Dr. Michael Stern. I will add one name to it, and that will be Mr. Daniel Gell to the list.
I give credit to all the people
Yes,
nominated.
yes.
They all do, and
They
and
do
we know.
great work.
I think it's a great program. The
Well
English
deserved,
classes
yes.
that Reverend Lano does, and so on. I mean, I wouldn't know how to vote. I'd vote. I'd try to vote for all of them.
I will give him the
only
award.
vote
I will
for one.
make sure that I bring some scissors so I can give
That's
him a piece of the award to every
All
one
of
of them. They all deserve it. Yes.
But what an honor and congratulations to all.
Congratulations. Claro que sí. Bueno, son las 12:57 minutos, mi gente. Una vez más, esto es ¿Qué pasa aquí en RadioLatinoTV.com? I will give my friend Daniel Gell the opportunity to say any closing statements from our show. Mr. Gell?
I think the one closing statement, we talked about many things today, but almost except for talking about the award thing here, many of them dealt with our elected, and the key term is elected, political leaders. Guess who elects them? It's us. We have people throughout the country, 10 million Hispanics alone who are eligible to vote and not yet registered, and maybe many of them are now, but let's all get registered.
It's predicted it's going to
Let's
be
get
in this
registered.
election 12.5 million people going to the polls.
It will be a record number for Hispanic voters, for 10% plus, and so on. But Reverend Kevin Boyd, as Fernando indicated, was interviewed today, and he reminded us all that there is a deadline to register to vote, and in Indiana, or at least in Allen County, it's April the 4th. So we have a few more weeks, but we can go to motor vehicles, and that includes me. I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to make sure I'm registered to vote, because I want to vote, and I will vote. It's up to us. The voters, we elect them. If we don't like them, we get rid of them. And this is our opportunity, whether we're talking president or our local congressman, and whoever, all of our assembly people are up for election. I think that would be my closing comment, Fernando. A reminder for people to register to vote. And let's do it, because do we have a right to complain if we don't vote? It's kind of hard to complain when we don't vote.
When we don't
So
participate.
let's do it and get informed, which we do here on in many ways.
Una vez más, esto es ¿Qué pasa? We're talking about angels too, besides the votes and the politicos and the politicians. We were talking about angels. We're talking about John Peter, Michael Floyd, Reverendo Lionel and Sybil Page, Elizabeth King, Dentista Dr. Michael Stern. Talking about angels, tomorrow, our show is going to have a true angel here.
There's another one.
Dr.
There's
Jose Carlos Espinosa. What a great story, what an interesting story, what a great man, what a great angel. If we talk about angels, listen to us on ¿Qué pasa? Aquí en RadioLatinoTV.com, and you'll get to really see and to feel what the true meaning about an angel among us is. Si estamos hablando de ángeles, mañana escuche qué pasa aquí en radiolatinotv.com para que se dé cuenta cuál es la perfecta definición de un ángel viviendo aquí entre nosotros. El doctor José Carlos Espinosa va a estar aquí con nosotros en vivo. No les digo adiós, sino simplemente hasta mañana y que Dios los bendiga. Gracias por habernos escuchado. Hasta luego.